Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Leo. We're going to be tackling kind of a big challenge here. We are going to be trying to value Ethereum, or at least I'm going to give y'all my mental framework for how I value Ethereum. I think that there's a lot of misinformation going around as to what gives Ethereum its value. And the first thing that you need to understand is that Ethereum is a commodity. And commodities are valued based on the economic utility that they provide to the world and their scarcity. Now, what do I mean by economic utility? Well, if we take a look here, I want to bring up this article. So this is from Cisco Systems. How much is the Internet of Everything worth? Cisco Systems says that it's worth $19 trillion. Now, what's he talking about when he says the Internet of Everything, right? So the Internet of Things is the concept that any device that could use the internet connection should get one, allowing it to talk to other devices in a network. So what they're doing is they're valuing the Internet of Things based on their connections to one another, how connected the system is. Going back to like Metcalfe's law, the more connections on a network, the more valuable it becomes. And I made a chart that I want to show y'all to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. So if we take a look here, I want you to think of Ethereum instead of just being a smart contract platform. Think of it as a global decentralized digital economy. Now, within an economy, for example, in the United States economy, you have the car market, you have the finance market, you have the oil market. So if we look at Ethereum like it's a digital economy, within that digital economy, you have decentralized finance, you have stablecoins, you have inside of DeFi, you have these smaller niche markets like lending, you have exchanges. This is one that not a lot of people talk about, but this is actually a really big one that adds a whole lot of value to the global economy, and that's cross-border investment. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say that you are in Sri Lanka or some other country around the world and you want to invest and start to build some wealth for yourself. Well, if you come over here and you can use stable coins to go to a decentralized exchange, and then you're able to purchase a stock in Tesla or stock in some sort of other asset. So what is the economic value that is added to this global economic system, being that you can make cross-border investments? You can very easily start building wealth for yourself. And so one of the arguments with stablecoins is, well, stablecoins aren't going to drive a lot of value to Ethereum, Leo. You know, how is Ethereum going to accrue fees and value based on stablecoins? And the answer is in network growth. So if you onboard a few $1 trillion worth of stablecoins onto the Ethereum network, what does that do? You've onboarded more network connections to the Ethereum blockchain. You have more liquidity on the blockchain. And what that means is more economic activity can take place. For example, in the US economy, the reason that you want people to spend money is because there's something called the velocity of money, which means that capital moving around. If capital just sits and it does nothing, the economy comes to a standstill. If you earn your little paycheck and then you don't spend it at all, those dollars don't go out and fuel more economic activity. If somebody goes out and they tip the waiter $100, that waiter then goes out and he pays for his gas, maybe he buys something to eat, etc., and the money continues to flow. So if you add trillions of dollars into the Ethereum digital economy, those dollars will eventually flow into lending platforms, they'll flow into exchanges, they'll flow into tokenized stocks, bonds, real estate. If you come over here to the entertainment market that I have, not a lot of people talk about this, but you can take intellectual property, meaning that, let's say that you're a game developer, you create a game, we'll just use Halo because I grew up playing Halo as a kid, and you create a Master Chief action figure, and you want to tokenize the royalties, meaning that the voice actor that played Master Chief will earn royalties for every sale of that action figure. That's going to be paid out in stable coins in a smart contract platform. And so the same thing can be said for actors or music industry or anything with whenever you're dealing with royalties or even art. So whenever you look at Ethereum, what you want to do is you want to look at it and say, okay, how much can this technology expand the global economy? Talking about network effects, think about social media. how much economic activity, how many people's entire livelihoods depend on social media nowadays. You have people building entire businesses surrounded by a TikTok channel that they have. Maybe they're doing a fitness channel, but the very fact that these social networks are so connected, that they've connected the world, they've connected people all across the world, all across the United States, to be able to do business in ways that they've never been able to do before, and that adds immense economic value to the economy. The difference with Ethereum is that all of this takes place on chain. Doesn't matter whether it's a layer 2 or a layer 1. It's all economic value, it's all economic activity, and it's going to grow the world economy like we've never seen. Perfect example of why network effects are so powerful. Go back 200 years. You're living in a small village. You have a little stand that you sell baked bread. Your network connections are maybe like, a handful of people that come and buy bread to you every day? Well, now, because of, let's say, the internet, for example, because the internet itself is estimated to be worth around $20 trillion because it connects the entire world. Well, now you can run a bread company and you can connect with people all around the United States, ship out your bread and your products to everybody. This is why network effects are so powerful. So to look at Ethereum and you look at its potential for network effects in all these different markets like entertainment, tokenization, DeFi, cross-border investments, stablecoins, and to say, no, it's not worth anything is ridiculous, because Ethereum is the base layer. It is the settlement layer. It is the trust layer. It is the decentralized layer that allows all of this activity to take place. Because if we take Ethereum out of the picture and it's not there as this global trust decentralization layer, you can't trust the person on the other side of the world is going to be honest in that transaction. That's why decentralization is so important. That's where the value of this network comes from. Now, another way you could think about it is think about the oil industry, for example. The oil reserves in the world are valued, they're estimated to be valued at it's $120 trillion. So we don't value this commodity oil based on fees that these oil companies create. The value from oil comes from its utility, its demand. A lot of people don't realize this, but oil is actually used in pharmaceuticals. Our medications are created from oil. Your plastics, your clothing, pretty much anything you use in your daily life is a derivative of oil. In each of these industries that are built out from oil, they have their own markets, their own economies. So if the base layer of all of those industries were to vanish, you just killed how much economic value across the globe. And so the same thing can be said for Ethereum. As this network grows, Ethereum is cemented as this vital asset that if it disappeared, this whole global decentralized system just wouldn't work. So kind of addressing the fee concern, because a lot of people are concerned that Ethereum, the asset, isn't collecting enough fees. To me, it's a silly argument. Yes, that's an aspect of Ethereum's value, but it is not the whole picture. For example, oil company. Yes, there are private businesses that run oil companies and make profit from oil. There are private businesses that run Ethereum validators and make profit off Ethereum. That does not mean that every Ethereum token has to be staked and earning value in order to justify its value as a network. So Ethereum is a store of value that is backed by the digital economy that it represents. So going back to the example here, Ethereum is a store of value and it represents all of this economic activity that's being built on top of it. So it's much more accurate to look at it like a GDP measurement. What's the global economic output of this digital economy, as opposed to, this miner is earning X amount of fee revenue. So, it needs to be valued based off of that. Now, another interesting argument that I hear for Ethereum's value is that, well, Leo, look at the transactions on Ethereum layer 1. The transactions aren't as high as the layer 2s. The layer 2s are much more valuable than layer 1. Well, let me ask you this. What's more valuable, 1 gold bar or 100 gold bars? Depends on the size of the gold bar. So you can have 10 trillion transactions taking place on a layer 2 or another alternate layer 1. That doesn't mean that those are valuable transactions. For example, you can have 10 trillion transactions take place that are all bot-driven and scammy-driven, just value extraction junk, right? Or you could have 10 transactions take place, and each of them is $10 million worth of US treasuries. So transaction volume does not equal value. If that was the case, anybody could launch a chain, just create trillions in transactions and real, transactions, and it's nothing. It's not worth anything. There's no real value being transacted on that chain. It's just a scam. It's just pixie dust. It's fairy dust. It doesn't exist. But also there's this misconception, like the layer 1 transactions, they're of a higher quality, in my opinion, than layer 2s, because the layer 2, like let's say you have 100,000 transactions that take place in a layer 2. Well, all of those get rolled up and condensed, and then they settle on, I don't know, I'm not a technical guy on this, but let's just say it all settles on one transaction on the Ethereum main chain. Okay, well, all those transactions have been just stuffed into one transaction. That doesn't mean that the value's not there. So it's not a very accurate measurement to determine the worth of a network. I mean, going back to like a gold analogy, I believe there's 453 grams in a pound. So what's worth more? If I have 453 grams of gold bars, or I have one gold bar, and I melt all those gold, the 453 gold bars down into one big gold bar, like what's the difference there in value? There isn't. It's exactly the same. It's just how everything is getting portioned up. So it's just about scaling the system. Now, if you are someone who's concerned about layer 2 fees and whatnot, and there not being enough revenue on the system, well, Vitalik and notable people in the industry like Anthony Sassano have noted that the focus of Ethereum right now is not max value extract. The focus on Ethereum right now is onboard the entire world, and then if we need to raise fees or adjust fees, we'll do so. So it's not a case, like you need to look at this like it's a high growth, I don't want to say tech company because it's a commodity. It's not a tech company, but the analogy is still there. If you have a tech company that is growing very, very fast, you don't jack up the fees so high that your growth stalls out. Especially if you're in a competitive market and you want to capture as much market share as you possibly can. You don't charge the maximum because you want to make fees right now when you can onboard the entire world, dominate an entire market, and then if fees need to be adjusted for profitability, then go ahead. But that's not a big concern right now because the main value driver is the economic output of the entire digital economy being built on top of Ethereum. So that's my take on the value of Ethereum. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section down below, and I'll see you all in the next one.